Greetings, I'm Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator. Today with more Pillar Loves tabletop games with Ventura. Normally I use the box lid, but I've transferred this game to a smaller container to better bring it to the game store and other places and keep it on the shelf. So the goal of the game is to get to 30 prestige. You do so playing as one of four families in Renaissance Italy. And in the process, you'll be making money by having domain counters on various territories. And you'll be using that money to spend on prestige and buying companies, military companies, captains of fortune, and conscription cards towards attacking other players' domains or just expanding your own. At the start of the game, you'll have your color, you'll have your city, you'll have like four random territories. There's the city, there's village, there's castle, there's wood, field, mountain, hill, river, and lake. Some are more difficult to get into than others. They'll provide various bonuses to the defender, melee, ranged, and resisting wounds. And then the map will be built around the papal territories, which are also worth prestige when prestige would be gained. So the map will be built by placing tiles next to at least two others. And then the last tile you get to place will be your own. And then you'll be able to take four territories for your initial domain. It's entirely possible to reach out and cut someone off. There's no real mitigation factor for it other than a house rule of you must take at least two adjacent to your city. It does help that you cannot place your city next to someone else's, but still, there's that possibility, which kind of sucks. At the start of the game, you'll also have your garrison, which occupies your one marker. So there's company and there's army. And why the difference matters is company just means one. There's only one thing there. An army means that you have a captain of fortune and at least 1 to 5 other companies. Worth noting, everything in this game, not necessarily everything, but a lot of things require upkeep, which is part of why you want to expand as much as you can to increase your income. Another important factor is that their timing is different. If a single company gets into an enemy domain, they have to wait until the following turn to annex it. An army can just wipe it out immediately. Eliminating enemy domains is also worth prestige. Defeating enemy armies in battle is also worth prestige. It's worth a lot. It's like 5, which is pretty good. But yeah, the actual play order of the game is the player with the least prestige, then followed by the player with the least florins, gets the first player card and 1 prestige. And then players will spend money on prestige. 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 4, 4 for 5, or 5 for 7. And then players have the choice to either draw off the top of the terrain or territory deck and have it in reserve, which they can then play later on. Or they can take from one of the 3 available cards of the Ventura deck. Once players have made their choice, there's the option to spend 2 florins and buy more cards. Cards you buy go to your hand. You have a maximum hand limit of 5. You have the option to draw it before discarding. And then every marker that you have in a gray area, an inhabited space, where you have companies with wounds, you can remove 1 from each company there. And then it goes on to if you have companies in opposing territories, you get to clear off their domain markers and annex them for yourself. And then you get your income. You get 1 money per domain marker. And then you have to pay for the upkeep. So garrison costs 1 to upkeep. Others will cost 1 or 2. Conscripts cost 0, but they're mainly just for holding a territory for a turn, because moving them is hard. Then we go to the C step. And then during the C step, if you have a territory tile in reserve, you get to add it adjacent to a territory that already has your domain markers, and you get the bonus. And then there's the D phase, where you actually get to buy conscript cards. They cost 1 each. They have various mobilization. So to actually get the conscript, you have to already have an army there. So you have to have an army there. There has to be room in that army. And then you play the card for it. City guards. For example, can be mobilized in a village, city, or castle. Let's see here. And then you actually get to, after buying the conscript cards, then you go to the step of actually playing them. So the cost will be on this side. In order to buy a company, it either goes into your city or into an army that you have out in the field, wherever they are. A captain of fortune, I believe, can only be added to a company that is in a city, at which point you must swap it out for the army marker. Your 1 marker can only ever be used for your garrison, and your garrison troop must stay in your city. If you ever choose not to upkeep your garrison, it goes out of the game. Yeah. You don't want to lose your garrison because you don't want to lose your city. But anyway, once you've played cards, go to actual movement. To move any company, to move a company or army, you look at the lowest movement value. For a company, there's only 1 company there, so they'll just use theirs. But for an army, it's possible to have various movement values, like we have crossbowmen and swordsmen. Swordsmen are a little bit faster, but the crossbowmen are what slow them down. If you have bonuses from your Captain of Fortune, it will apply. So this is a 2, plus 1 is a 3. Like I said, some terrain is harder to get through than others. So with a 3 movements, this army could get into the mountains. There's also horse carts that can increase the movement value of the army. The thing with conscripts is their movements are generally non-existent. City guards can move 1, but farmers, poachers, and drifters are 0. So you have to get your bonuses from somewhere to get them going. Once you actually move into if you move your army into enemy domains, and there's no enemy armies or companies to stop you, you immediately discard them, get those points, and then place your own there. If you have to fight, then what you'll end up doing is taking one of these battle boards. You will secretly put your cards down. You'll have your captain here, you'll have your first 2 units here, and then your backup. The first assault is ranged. You'll look at the range value of the units that you have, plus any bonuses from your captain, plus any bonuses from the territory. So, let's say I have this as my setup, 1 captain, 1, 2. So only those first 2 ranks are going to participate in the ranged. So 3, we do 3 wounds to their first slot, and then any extra wounds spill over to their second. And then if there's any casualties, the card's discarded and ranks close, and then we go to the second assault if there's still units, which is melee. So there's a +3. There's a 3 melee here, so they'll do 3 wounds to whatever's here. Casualties, close ranks. Then the attacker has the option to retreat. Then the defender has the option to retreat. If nobody retreats, the battle continues. But instead, the 2 assaults are melee. So, if you defeat an enemy army in battle, and you are not defeated in the process, you get 5 prestige. If they retreat, you also get the prestige. If you just defeat a company, it's not worth anything. It needs to be a glorious victory. So yeah. And then all the battles will be done. And then it'll go on to the next turn to reassign the Ventura card and do all the stuff again. It's worth noting for the various families, there are certain abilities. I made a point to write them onto the cards themselves. Red, Este, they get an extra prestige for buying prestige. Visconti gets to, when drawing conscripts, they draw the top 3 and pick 1 and discard the rest. Gonzaga, when drawing from the territories, they draw 3 and keep 1, and I think the rest go to the bottom. And then Medici, they get an extra income every turn, but buying prestige, they get 1 less. So they have to pay more to get any points at all. And that's pretty much it. As soon as someone hits 30, that's the end of the game. There's a variant to go to 50 that I think is way better, which is what I'll be doing if I happen to play this with other people again. So why the hell do I like this game? Even though the art style is on the tiles is kind of simple and the cards is really small, and the game is kind of a pain at times, and the rules are kind of weirdly written. Um, I just like it because it's history. One, it's history emotion. Two, it's kind of an interesting approach to you know buying troops and moving them and fighting. The upkeep is a tricky thing because if your domains start breaking down because people are coming after you, you're gonna find yourself wondering what's worth holding on to. But I was very happy to find this game for cheap. When it was in print and like brand new, it was like stupid expensive. But I'm pretty sure it's easy to find a copy. I also had to paint these myself because normally they're unpainted, and unpainted is borderline unreadable. So I went on my way for them. But yeah, Ventura. It's a game. It's interesting. You might find it kind of cool because there's various bits of history on each of the units and each of the companies and captains and all that, and events, all sorts of crazy events to try out. But yeah, um, give the game a try. And if you like it, definitely want to paint these pieces. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.